You are solidified. You had 81,000 people or more in the UK last year. Why is that necessary?
And it's also weird because the one part, he's going after Jinder and the fact that he's fighting for the world title Monday. He's tweeting at the USA Network account. Like, the intern running that account is not working for WWE. Like, why are you going at that account? Like, what does that accomplish?
That's a great touch, going after the USA account on Twitter. Look, like,
also, just so you have, Gabe, for facts here, the last time Jinder won on TV, January 10th of last year, he won on NXT. So I don't know if you count that. If you do not.
No, technically that's on television. I mean, that still counts.
Well, if we don't want to count it, June 3rd of 2022, he won on SmackDown against Humberto. So, world title match, Monday night against Rollins.
Hey, good for him. Getting that, a year and a half ago, getting that big win over Humberto. Look, but here's the thing, WWE, I think, made that one make sense. And I understand that Tony Khan's trying to do, and then with the Samoa Joe promo that you got last night, hey, show us your resume, show us, so they're trying to bring back that aspect of AEW, of the records matter, and you got to earn your title shot and that sort of thing with Samoa Joe. Look, I just don't, bringing this undue heat upon yourself and have everyone just again, because I don't understand it. I don't understand why Eric Bischoff seemingly hates AEW, because you would think that he would understand about competition being a good thing. Clearly he doesn't. And also Eric Bischoff has accepted money from Tony Khan to appear on AEW a couple of different times. So I don't know if the checks, weren't big enough or whatever the deal was. But you just don't need to bring this undue heat on you at this, kind of transitional, might be too strong of a word for AEW, but MJF is going to be out for presumably a long period of time. You have a new world champion. The way that Adam Cole and Samoa Joe are talking about this kind of being a new era of AEW, like you're kind of pivoting a little bit, kind of operate in the weeds a little bit before you start popping out and attacking Raw for throwing how many times has AEW thrown a random championship on television? And that's basically what this is for Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, with Eric Bischoff and his podcast, it's all revisionist history, and he blames everybody except himself for the failure of WCW. It's Kevin Sullivan. It's Kevin Sullivan. It's Ric Flair. It's Kevin Nash. The rain was coming that day, so I couldn't see the ring. Or Sting didn't have a tan, and all this other stuff, right? Or it's always someone else except him. He never accepts the big responsibility for the failure of WCW and the money that was lost there. And so but you're right, Gabe. The point is well made in which you say, if you're Eric Bischoff and you failed twice, because it wasn't just WCW, it was TNA as well.
Which he blamed on Dixie this week, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's definitely on Dixie. Oh, that's definitely on Dixie
He did not hesitate for a second. He's like, no, TNA's not on me. That was all Dixie. That was I told her not to bring in all these big stars, and oh, okay, Eric, cool.
Yes, but also you supported, but you and Hogan kind of pushed her into going head-to-head against Raw on Monday nights. Do you recall this, right? You recall TNA being on Monday nights against Raw and then, of course, you got to travel. You got to get out and travel and be out there live. They lost money big time because of Bischoff's influence. Look what I did with Nitro. We were traveling across the country. Then you see TNA in Salt Lake, and there was 5 people there in the darkness, okay, because that was their suggestion. So Bischoff always is trying to push the buck and trying to blame someone else for the failures that he's had in TNA and WCW. So, but your point, Gabe, was right. You would think that he can relate, trying to be the second company and figuring out how you could fit in the marketplace. Instead of being against Tony Khan, you should say, hey, you know what? There's some good things he does and some things he needs to work on. Mm-hmm. And what I would say is I made a lot of mistakes. So if I'm Tony Khan, I make sure that I don't do those same mistakes. Bischoff doesn't say that, but yet there's a Twitter battle between the two. It's nonsense.
Also, what's the upside if you're Tony Khan? I understand if you're this small company, or even if you're AEW on day one, where it's hey, Eric Bischoff mentioned us. He's watching the product. If you're a GCW, that's a good moment, because then maybe someone says, oh, what is this company? Let me go search them out. If you're AEW, you don't need that random rub. You have names working for you. You have Adam Copeland. You're going to have Will Ospreay. What is the upside if you're Tony Khan?
No, there's not. Because again, let's be honest. There's no upside for any of us ever tweeting ever. There's zero upside to, again, rule number 1 of Twitter is don't tweet.